We've been discussing asexual reproduction and mitosis. With asexual reproduction, there is only one parent, and because there is only one parent, we get an exact copy of the parent for the offspring. Same genetic information was passed because, again, there's only one source of genetic information for that offspring. Mitosis is the cell division that allows for asexual reproduction to happen. This is actually done in all of the body cells of organisms. So if, let's say, a human damages a bone cell will grow to replace it. You want an exact copy of the cell that was damaged to replace that cell. You don't want a bone cell growing where a heart cell needs to be. The stages of mitosis, we remember those by the saying, I play music at the concert. Interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and cytokinesis. In interphase, we make a copy of the DNA. In prophase, those copies match up to form the chromosomes or X shapes. In metaphase, they line up in the middle. In anaphase, they pull apart. In telophase, there are two nuclei in the same cell. And then in cytokinesis, they pull apart completely, and even the cytoplasm divides, and they are completely separate cells. So in sexual reproduction, there are going to be two parents involved. A fact for today is that chimpanzees are 99% the same genetically as humans. It's amazing what that 1% difference can do between the organisms. The state standard we're working on is that reproduction is necessary for the continuation of the species. And by the end of this lesson, we need to be able to explain why the gametes or sex cells have half the number of chromosomes compared to the other body cells. Remember, gametes are going to be made through this cell division we're going to talk about today. The other body cells are made through mitosis, where you get that exact copy. We also need to be able to list the advantages and disadvantages of sexual reproduction. So the cell division that allows for sexual reproduction, which involves two parents, is called meiosis. And the results that you get are going to be different than the parent cell and different than the cells created through this process. This is what allows for variation throughout species that reproduce through sexual reproduction. Chromosomes, we'll review real quick, are those double rods of DNA. They carry the genetic information. These are the instructions telling the cell how to function. So these are found in the nucleus, that control center for the cell. Along the chromosomes, remember the chromosomes are made of DNA, there's segments of the DNA that are coding for specific traits, such as dimples, widow's peak, cleft chin, hair color, eye color, all of those things are coded for in these genes. So we have two parts here. This is a chromosome pair. In sexual reproduction, you would have gotten one of these from mom and one of these from dad. On here, you're going to have the gene, which is just the segment of DNA that makes up the chromosome. And wherever the gene, let's say for hair color, is located on one of the chromosomes, it's going to be located in the exact same spot on the other in that chromosome pair. You can see some are capital letters, some are lowercase letters. We'll be getting into how these are dominant and recessive traits later on when we hit genetics. But for now, just make sure that you know that these genes are lining up in the same spot. Let's say this is the gene for having freckles, and right here would be the gene for having dimples, but they're located in the same spot on each of the chromosomes in the pair. The traits are the characteristics that the organism passes from its parents to the offspring. Remember, it's always parents passing traits to offspring. So this could be hair color, eye color, whether you have wavy, straight, or curly hair, freckles, dimples, all those different characteristics that get passed from parents to offspring through those genes or segments of DNA. So the cell division that allows for sexual reproduction is called meiosis. In mitosis, where we get the exact same thing, we have one cell division and it gives us two daughter cells, and they're exactly the same as the parent cell. In meiosis, we're going to actually go through those steps of mitosis 2 times, and we're going to wind up having half the number of chromosomes because we're dividing twice. This happens in the reproductive organs of organisms that reproduce through sexual reproduction because you have 2 parents giving genetic information. You want half the number of chromosomes coming from one of the parents, half from the other parents in order to give the offspring a full set. So you can see here we have the parent cell. It's got a red long one, a blue long one, a short blue one, and a short red one. But when you look here at the daughter cells, notice there's 4 of them because we divided twice. You're getting 1 long, 1 short instead of 2 long and 2 short. Half the number that we started with. So in meiosis, we're creating 4 gametes or sex cells. In the male, that's called sperm cells, and in the female, that would be egg cells. Gametes are not the same as the parent because those gametes have half the number of chromosomes as you started with in the parent cell. Again, you need half the number because you need half from the biological mother, half from the biological father to give the offspring the full set. That goes back to our I can statement about why these have to have half the number of chromosomes in those gametes. So before meiosis begins, every chromosome is copied just like in interphase for the cell cycle with mitosis. We have to copy those chromosomes. So we started with 1 red X, 1 blue X, and now they've been copied and formed for prophase. You can see they're already in their chromosome shapes. Now they line up in the middle for metaphase, just like they do in mitosis. And then they get pulled apart for anaphase. So we have metaphase, anaphase, and then telophase. And this would be metaphase 1, anaphase 1, and telophase 1. We have 2 cells forming. Then again, we have to go through that division again, and we get meiosis 2. They line up in the middle. So the 2 we had here will line up in the middle, and then they get pulled apart again. So this is metaphase 2, anaphase 2. And then at the end, once we hit, they go through telophase and then finally cytokinesis. You can see the 4 here. We only have half of the big red X and half of the little blue X because we need half the number of chromosomes so that this cell can join with the other parent's cell to fertilize the egg, and then we have a full set of chromosomes being passed. So the 2 cells split again, we get the 4 gametes or sex cells, and they have half the number as the parent cell. So in humans, we have 46 chromosomes. You get 23 from your mom, your biological mom, and 23 from the biological dad. Again, together, 23 makes 46 total. There are some advantages to this type of reproduction. Because there are 2 parents, you get lots of variations or differences within the species. And sometimes you get a really good combination of traits that are going to help the organism survive. I like to call this hitting the genetic jackpot because you have your faster, you've inherited stronger claws, a coloring that helps you blend into your environment. For example, there's a snake here. Here's an eye. Here's an eye. You can kind of see the body here. This blends in very well with its environment, so that makes this snake less likely to be eaten. And a snake that is not as well blended in is going to be more likely to be eaten. So lots of organisms have these good traits. They are able to survive and then pass those good traits on to their offspring. But sometimes, because of all these variations, the organism might inherit a combination of traits that would cause difficulty surviving. So this would be a disadvantage of this type of reproduction, where 2 parents are passing on traits leading to lots of different combinations. So we have a moth here that's a darker color, a moth here that's a lighter color. In this lighter environment, the lighter moth blends in, good combination of traits, more likely to survive and pass those good traits on that gave it this coloring. This one more likely to get eaten. But if we look at a dark environment, maybe these are darker trees, the dark peppered moth is going to blend in much better. And now having that lighter coloring in the gene combination makes it more likely to get eaten. So this would be a bad combination. Sometimes it can be a good combination of traits. Sometimes it can be a not so good combination of traits and would cause difficulty surviving.